One of the biggest things that has helped me to lose around 40 pounds of weight and stay under 15% body fat consistently is caffeine. Caffeine has been my best friend for years now, right? Whether I'm trying to lose weight or not lose weight, is just my favorite drug, right? And so let's get into exactly how I optimized everything around my caffeine intake to make losing weight easy. And so, first things first, I only ingest caffeine through coffee, right? I don't like pre-workouts. I've only had pre-workout like drinks for like maybe twice in my life, 3 times, like through my friends who have like the pre-workout powder and whatever. I don't like it. First of all, it has a lot of additives, different food colorings, artificial sweeteners, and just like even there's like a weird like aftertaste or like something that sticks to my tongue, right, for like hours after. Even the way that it makes me feel, like the head rush or like the stims, whatever they call it, it doesn't feel the same. Coffee is always reliable. It's a very gradual increase in alertness and energy, and it still feels healthy. It doesn't feel like I'm destroying my body when I ingest caffeine or like ingest caffeine through coffee. And so first things first, I only take coffee, right? And if you want to go to the next level, then you want to make sure that your coffee is organic, free of pesticides, just to make sure that your coffee is higher quality, right? The next thing you want to do is think about exactly how you make the coffee, right? And so most people have like the Keurig machines or those like the cup machines where you put the coffee pod in there, and then it'll put on hot water and it looks like a coffee machine, right? The regular coffee machines. The reason why I stopped taking my coffee that way is just considering other things when it comes like that are in my coffee when I do it that way. First of all, the hot water in the machine goes through plastic tubes. And so hot water obviously is going to dissolve more microplastics in your water. So that's something to consider. And then the pod itself, right? When the machine punctures through the pod, the top layer is aluminum, right? And when the hot water goes through the aluminum covering, it's going to put aluminum in your water as well, or in your coffee, right? And then the bottom of the pod itself is also plastic. So as the water or the coffee is filtering through the bottom of the pod, that's also more microplastics leaching into your water or into your coffee. And so you're going to have coffee, but with a side of microplastics and aluminum. And so a better way to replace that is just getting a big tub of like ground coffee. And then I just bought a mocha pot. You can search it up what a mocha pot is, but it's like a little like espresso machine, like not machine, but it's like I don't know, like hardware or something. But it's like a small coffee machine that you put on top of the stove, right? And it'll basically have like 2 compartments. One compartment with like the water at the bottom, and as you put it on the stove, it's gonna heat the water. The water vapor is gonna go through up where the coffee, like the ground coffee actually is. It'll go through, and then it'll come out to the top compartment, and then you just pour it. It's very easy to use. I might make it sound more complicated than it is, but just search up mocha pot. I got one from not Walmart, Amazon, and you can get a stainless steel, like fully stainless steel mocha pot for like $40-50, and that's how I've been making my coffee for like 6 months now, maybe even more. But I got it pretty much at the start of 2025. But yeah, also a big pro is it makes the coffee like stronger, and I like my coffee bitter and strong, right? I don't like it watered down or anything, and I just ingest it black. It's just plain black coffee. The reason why I do that is because as I'm trying to lose weight, like it just makes sense to reduce my calories that way, and I don't mind the taste of bitter coffee, so I don't feel the need to add any sugar, any sweetener, any milk or dairy. Some people might, and so you might have to get used to the black coffee like let's say you're trying to lose weight, but I honestly just always prefer the black. Another thing is that I pair with intermittent fasting. Like I like to push my first meal to like around 1 to 2 p.m. And so I'll have my coffee at around like 6:37. I wake up at 5 a.m. And so I'll have my coffee in the morning, and then it'll just help suppress my appetite because caffeine is an appetite suppressant. And so that way it makes intermittent fasting easier, you know. Another thing to optimize is that you don't want to have your coffee before 90 minutes after waking, 60 to 90 minutes after waking. So let's say if you're like me and you wake up at 5, I'm not trying to flex, just saying I wake up at 5 a.m. I don't have my coffee before 6 a.m. at all, and I try to have it like at 6:30 to 7 a.m., right? This is just because it makes sure that your energy levels and your cortisol levels are more like gradual and sustained throughout the day, and make sure that you're avoiding like the midday energy crash that some people might have. And I can't vouch if like there's a big difference, because when I started drinking coffee, I just followed the advice of like particularly Dr. Andy Huberman. You've probably seen his podcast if you're watching this video. Maybe you haven't, but he's a big like health like podcast guy on the internet. And so I just follow his advice when he talked about, you know, delaying caffeine intake to like around 90 minutes after waking. But it's to control or you regulate your cortisol levels or cortisol secretion throughout the day, and just make sure that your circadian rhythm is more regulated and normal, right? And so yeah, I guess you can, if you really want, you can try having your caffeine 60 minutes before waking, or like earlier than 60 minutes before waking. But just a caution, you might see an angry Andy Huberman right behind you as soon as you do that. So if you don't want to get jump scared, maybe just avoid that. Anyways, another thing to consider when taking caffeine is that it's a diuretic, right? Like you're gonna pee after you have coffee or caffeine, and so you want to make sure that you're controlling for hydration. What I mean by hydration is not just water levels, but also electrolyte levels, because you know, as you're peeing, you're flushing out water, but also electrolytes. So your sodium, your potassium, your chloride, your magnesium, your calcium, whatever. Those are the main 5 electrolytes in your body. And so you want to make sure that you're either getting like an electrolyte mix, I just take a teaspoon of salt because I have sodium and chloride, and then I make sure I have like enough electrolytes through my day, throughout, like with my food. Like I'll have a banana or a sweet potato for potassium, magnesium, whatever, right? And so you want to make sure that you're, you know, making sure that your electrolytes are in check. There's a substantial amount of the different ions that you need, because it also makes sure your hunger is also more in check, right? If your electrolytes are not balanced, if you're deficient in any of them, you're gonna feel more hungry, right? But if you have enough water and enough electrolytes in like the normal ratios that you need, then that will also help you with your hunger as well. But it's just something to consider, because the more caffeine you have, the more you're flushing your electrolytes. And then you also just don't want to have caffeine like any time after like 10 hours before you're gonna sleep. So to make this sound more simple, if you sleep at 10 p.m. every day, you don't want to have caffeine after 12 p.m., right? Because it's gonna mess up with your melatonin secretion, or not. I don't know if it's melatonin secretion, but I just know that the half-life of coffee is like 6 to 8 hours. So let's say you have a cup of coffee, which is like, let's just assume 100 milligrams of caffeine, right? Depending on the size of your coffee cup. Let's say it's 100 milligrams. And let's say you have it at around 4 p.m., right? And then you sleep at 10 p.m. If the half-life of caffeine is 6 hours, let's say, it's range of 6 to 8, but let's say it's 6 hours to be generous. then that means by 10 p.m., you still have 50 milligrams of caffeine just circulating around your body. And that's gonna leave you in a state of like tired but wired. Like you're fatigued, like you need sleep, but your nervous system is not calmed down enough for sleep. And even if you do end up sleeping, your body's not in a state to like optimally rest. And so your quality of sleep will not be sufficient. It's not going to be optimized. So even if you get enough quantity, your quality won't be there. And so over a longer period of time, you're going to feel the effects of like not being recovered enough and not feeling refreshed enough when you wake up. And so you can experiment as you wish, but according to the science, you just want to make sure that you leave at least like a 10-hour gap, right? Obviously, I feel like the leaner you get, the more you're trying to lose weight, the more you're going to have to rely on caffeine. But there's always precaution that you need to take, right? Because there's like this tolerance idea where the more you take, then the more you actually need to feel a similar effect. So let's say at first you were cruising on 100 milligrams of caffeine. After some point, it's not gonna feel. You're not gonna feel the kick as when you first started taking 100 milligrams. You might need 150 to make you feel the same way that you felt on 100 when you first started. And then it keeps going up, and you're gonna keep needing it just for like appetite suppression as well. You're gonna feel more hungry, you're gonna want to take more. So, like, I guess don't feel bad when you start taking more caffeine, but there's always limits that you want to make sure that you're not going above, right? If you're drinking 5 coffees a day or something, or like a equivalent amount of caffeine to that, you might want to take it down a bit more, right? Or at least not exceed a certain amount, right? And so it's just something to consider, but that's exactly how I've optimized my caffeine intake, through coffee. But just to help me with my energy levels, I'll have it before the gym as well, because I'll go to the gym around 7:30, and so if I have it like 30 minutes before, it kicks in pretty nice. Like the timing will be pretty nice. Like I'll give myself 30 minutes after drinking my coffee, and I'll feel fully locked in, right? I'm gonna get just sufficient amount of energy to hit my workout fasted, right? And so that caffeine is actually pretty like crucial for me to get enough energy to work out if I'm doing it fasted. Sometimes I'll do it hungry as well. So I need that caffeine to just make me feel good enough to work out. But also that caffeine just like doesn't only give me enough energy, but also gives me like the mental like clarity and like focus in a sense, right? It's combined with like just being in a state of fasting and not like spending energy on digestion. But whenever I'm working out, for the most part, I'm feeling like very focused on exactly what I'm doing. And so it just makes or creates for a great workout, right? And that's exactly what I need to do first thing in the day. So it's just something that I've been doing for a while, and it's something that I like doing, so I'm going to keep doing that. But that's exactly all the steps that I take in order to make sure that I'm taking my caffeine optimally for me and my lifestyle. But if you learn anything, and if you want to learn more exactly how to lose weight and stay healthy at the same time, then just click the first link in the description. It's my course that teaches you to do exactly that, and I'll see you there.